Call the meeting to order. Any items from the public? Yes, sir, Mr. Kump. How you doing this morning?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Larry Kump, former delegate and current candidate for re-election to the West Virginia House of Delegates. I apologize. I've been meaning to speak before you all for a month or so, but it seems like Thursdays get real active and I've been called other ways, but it's been something that you've done recently that's been on my mind, and I've been stewing about it and stewing about it and stewing about it. Let me start by saying that most of my recollection, I've been a student of the Constitution, and I appreciate the excellence it brings to our country more so than any other country, the separation of powers, Bill of Rights, especially the 10th Amendment, and how it provides for all of our rights and privileges. But what concerns me more recently, more so now than ever, is identity politics, where one party is set against another, and one group is a prize is better than another. In fact, recently, I was at the doctor's office, and they asked me what I wanted to be called, and I just kind of looked at them. He says, no, we want to know the pronoun. And I found out real quickly that bite me is not a proper pronoun. But the reason I'm going around the barn with this is one of the things I want to mention that the county council did recently, which I was tremendously impressed with, because the one identity that no matter which side of the aisle you're on that people seem to disparage is public employees. And what this council did recently with the generous salary increase to the county employees made a big difference. I know a lot of people, one of which is our near neighbors that has food insecurity because of problems with inflation and what have you. And what this county did on behalf of the county employees with the salary increase was certainly fair, it was equitable, and also generous, and I applaud you all for doing that.
Thank you, Mr. Kump.
Thank you.
Anyone else? All right, you're going to ask for a motion to approve the agenda, which will amend it, if you don't mind, because we have no honorary council person today.
I move that we approve the agenda for Thursday, October the 6th, with the removal of the county council person honorary being removed.
All right, we have a motion on the floor. Second, any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The motion carries. Purchase order. We have any questions on the purchase order? Mr. Wine, there's no internal budget revisions this morning. So we have change in status. We have a new hire recommendation received from Tim Zaya, Director of Community Corrections, for the following: Robert Smith as a drug screening tech with an annual salary of $39,812, effective October the 25th, 2022. Gina Bowers as a therapist 3 with an annual salary of $76,065, effective October 31st, 2022. Caitlin Brown, a therapist 2 with an annual salary of $70,104, effective October 31st, 2022. Kelly Bertolini as a therapist 3 with an annual salary of $76,065, effective December 12th, 2022. Any questions on the change in status? We have minutes to be approved for September 22nd, 2022. Vice President Whitaker was not present. Do I hear a motion on those minutes?
Mr. President, I move to accept the minutes of September 22 as presented.
All right, we have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second? We got a second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The motion carries.
Abstained due to absence.
All right. All right, county government will be closed on Columbus Day, on Monday the 10th. And we'll be back in the chambers on Thursday, the 13th. The boards and commissions Let's see, we have nothing the remainder of this week. We have Water District, is this still on for 5 p.m. Monday, Jim?
So far.
Okay. Tuesday 11th at 2 p.m. Central Dispatch Advisory Board. That one may be postponed, Eddie, probably?
Yes, sir.
6 p.m. Farmland Protection. Wednesday the 12th, 9:30 a.m. Development Authority, 6 p.m. Roundhouse Authority. Any changes or corrections on those?
Just a reminder that the one assessment gives next Thursday afternoon.
Next Thursday afternoon, okay. All right. All right, we have some bond reductions. We have bond reduction, Stonecrest PUD Phase 3, lots 173 through 190. Berkeley County, our BCP file number 022-15, tied to 2208-242, and number 2208-244. Bond 100478162, Engineering Department has made that recommendation. We have any questions on that one for Doug? I think, yeah. We have a bond reduction, Stonecrest PUD Phase 3, lots 138 through 160. BCP file number is 022-15, tied to 2208-242 and 2208-244. Bond number 100441776. Engineering Department has made that recommendation. Any questions on that one? Bond reduction on Stonecrest PUD Phase 3, lots 126 through 137, 161 through 172, 191 through 198, and open space BCP file number 022-15, tied to number 2208-242 and number 2208-244, bond 100474455. Any questions on that one?
Could you repeat these numbers?
These are easier than changing status, probably. Bond release, Stonecrest PUD, Phase 4, lots 237 through 260, BCP file number 022-15, tied to 2208-235 and 2208-231. Bond number 100531504. Any questions on the release? Bond reduction, Stonecrest PUD Phase 4, lots 199 through 236, and commercial lot number 5, BCP file number 022-15, tied to 2208-235 and 2208-231, bond number 100463454. Any questions on that one?
Yes, sir. A question, just for clarity. On the bond reduction, the warranty period start, is that now that the bond's actually reduced or removed, that now the warranty from the contractor for the roads, the amenities that they did, is that what that means?
Yes and no. In accordance with Article 6 of the subdivision ordinance for bonds, there's a 180-day warranty period that's applied once all work is complete. And the minimal amount that I'm to hold is 15% of the original bond, and I hold that for 180 days. Some of these have either been dropped to the 15% level or possibly below in some cases here. So where you see it just says warranty period started, I apologize, start, then I'm not giving them any money back at this time. I'm just telling them that their 180-day warranty period is stopped. They may have already completed all the work months, a year ago, but nobody ever came in here to ask for the bond back.
Okay.
But to get the bond back, even though it may have been done a year,
Right.
they have to start it, but I have to hold at least 15%. So what I'm saying is some of these, he may have just got the work done or he did the work, but he never asked for any money back. So I gave him back the money, and sometimes he may have deserved more, but I have to hold 15% minimum of the original amount.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
And that happens a lot, Doug. That
Yeah,
happens a-
this is nothing unusual. In this case, some of these, it was already done and it's been done for a while.
Falls through the cracks.
But I can't take out the warranty period, so we just start the warranty period.
Yes, sir. Any other questions?
Yep, I think we've all gotten calls about those.
Sorry.
I say, I think we've all received calls about those.
All right, so now we have, I'm sorry, next on our, didn't flip my page too early. Yeah, well, I need a motion to approve the consent agenda. I did forget that one.
So moved.
Second?
We have a motion on the floor and a second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The motion carries. Next, we have our assessor, Larry Hess, for some exonerations.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
I've got a couple here today. First one, I have a taxpayer error, personal property. They reported the vehicle and so we had to put it on as taxpayer error for an amount of $122.20.
Okay, entertain a motion on one personal property tax exoneration due to taxpayer error.
President, I move to accept the taxpayer error personal property assessment in the amount of $122.20.
Motion on the floor. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second. Any discussion on the motion? If not, all in favor say aye. Any nays?
Aye.
Nay.
Thank you. I do have, we have 8 personal property office error exonerations I had to bring this morning for the reasons that's listed there. They total up to $969.14 for those 8.
All right, entertain a motion on the 8 personal property tax exonerations.
I make a motion to approve the 8 personal property tax exoneration in the amount of $969.14.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? The motion carries. We have 2 real estate tax exonerations.
Yeah, this was for Joseph Monroy. This bill was created in error. We had no idea where it came from. It's $3.50 for 1 year, $3.52. But we had to exonerate $7.02 for those 2 years.
Entertain a motion on 2 real estate tax exonerations due to office error.
So moved.
Motion's been made.
Second.
Second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The motion carries.
Thank you. The only other thing I have is we have a deconsolidation. We had these consolidated for Terrence Brathwaite. We had 2 parcels, and he just wanted to separate them. I think he's going to sell one of them, so we had to deconsolidate those and need your approval on that one.
All right, need a motion on the one application of deconsolidation of property.
So motion to accept the assessor's recommendation with deconsolidation.
Now we have a motion on the floor. We have a second. Second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye. Anyone opposed? The motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Board meeting reports, Mr. Barnhart.
Thank you, Mr. President. I had no meetings this week. Going to the hospital.
Well, wish Linda well on that one.
Well, she's getting better. She's miserable, can't eat anything, and she's wired for sound. She's got tubes coming out everywhere.
Yeah. Mr. Delier?
Lost my thought train there. I've done several meetings this week, but I don't know if they're actual board meetings. I don't think I had any board meetings, no.
Okay. Vice President Whitaker?
Nothing here.
Councilperson Gokenhour?
Yes, sir. Planning Commission on Monday night had 4 public hearings. We had tabled a small project at the lakes of Martinsburg because of some concerns of homeowners. So we tabled until the following meeting, just to try to get everybody to the table to have the discussion of the issues. There will be some testing done. Well, several of the lakes I don't think are holding water. So there will be testing done, so that satisfies us, we'll move the project forward.
Are those lakes, I assume they're supposed to hold water all the time, is that?
Well,
A lake is
Yeah,
holds water.
but there's stormwater management, so.
there's one or two, I think, that are stormwater management. The rest of them, I think according to the original developer, were probably meant as amenities. But this is not the original developer.
Yeah, it's been through several developers.
It has, so, but still, they need to determine where this water's going. You know, whether there's sinkholes in the ponds, or if the ponds were ever lined. So they gotta do some testing to see. Also, on Tuesday was a sewer district, the force main in Gerrardstown at the school that goes up Gold Miller Road is now in service. That's all. They're getting ready to decommission the sewer treatment plant there, and which will be salvaged, which is salvaged. It's rusted up. It's in bad shape. So, and on some of the other projects, they're having some delays because of manholes, not being able to get manholes. Some of them may, in fact, be a year out.
Well, manhole. That's concrete rebar
Yeah.
and maybe gaskets, I guess.
On the stormwater side, there is an issue that they're working on a property in Back Creek Valley that they currently have in circuit court, and our legal director and stormwater team are involved in that. And then yesterday, we came in to welcome and the governor to Berkeley County while he was here. So.
Question for you, is are the ponds constructed the way they were designed originally?
That's what they're trying to determine.
Okay.
One thing, you're talking about MS4 in the valley, one of the things that I've been noticing driving by on 51, I'm not so sure there's ever been straw or seed on their job that has been sitting for a couple months. Up at that pump station you talked about.
Yeah, I think that's all seeded and done now.
Okay. All right, I have nothing to report on any meetings. Board and commission vacancies, any activity there? All right, moving on to councilperson issues. Vice President Whitaker, you want to talk about a county flag?
Yeah, I was just talking to Matt about it. It's been a while ago, and he just reminded me that we probably needed to bring it before the members of the council that if we wanted to have our new seal put on a flag to have for the county buildings, that we would probably need to discuss order several and then distribute them to all the county buildings that have a flagpole where they can display it inside. So,
Yeah, I think that would be a good idea myself.
I don't disagree, I just don't know how many flags we need.
Right. And then the other thing we briefly talked about, and you might have been out, was, Lieutenant Governor Blair has led the charge, and legislation has allowed us to do license plates, which we've never done. And I think the new county seal would look great on a license plate. So I would like to even have Matt to start that in motion and going through that process. And that money comes back to the county.
yeah.
So it'll be the first one that we've done, something like that, since it's been in place.
Whatever happened to, I remember we had a conversation, and it's been a couple years back, about having the ability here to actually sell.
DMV stuff.
Yeah, and if I remember right, there was something in legislature that actually requires us to do that.
Yeah, I think there's something there. I'm not so sure it was how it was structured though. I think the sheriff brought that to our attention one time.
It allows the sheriff to perform those duties in the tax office. Some counties do, some don't. I don't believe that the verbiage is there that they have to do it, but they in fact can. I can tell you that they'll only do the 1-year renewal tags. They don't do the 2s, but they could. Be under the purview of the sheriff would happen in the tax office.
I'm thinking there's talk at the state level about looking into that, and having that to happen. More likely for it to happen. You know, the future of DMV offices may be in jeopardy. The way I heard it.
But I mean, so what happens if you don't pay attention here, specifically at the end of the month? If you go to DMV without your personal property paid for them, you leave there, come here, and go back there.
Right.
That's what those lines ends up for. So you've also seen DMV has their kiosks. They don't have many of them here. But you go to the central part of the state, you go right up to a kiosk, step right up, and you'll spit your little tag right out at you if you have the receipt.
Wasn't it Senator Blair when he was here that day talking about DMV? About
Well,
a
what he
much
mentioned
easier
that-
process?
Well, what he suggested was that if.
Take a picture or something.
Yeah, just take a picture of your tag and done.
Right. You don't even have to go into the building. That's what it was. I knew there was something going on.
I thought there was something, I remember something that if we didn't perform that duty, the DMV could actually stop doing that duty or
Well,
something.
they threatened him.
Yeah,
not
there
to
was a
support us
whole
on the personal
conversation we
property
had
tax.
about that. There was a whole conversation we had about that, and then it just kind of died, and we hadn't talked about it again.
I think at one time, and the sheriff's here, so if he wants to chime in, he can do it too.
Or we have 10.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
sheriff.
Yeah, I think there was some things going on with the state level saying that if we didn't support, and we'll bounce back to this on the public after we do the bid opening, about if we didn't support the DMV, then they wouldn't support, the DMV wouldn't support making sure they paid the personal property tax before they got the tax. That's what it was.
That's what it was, you're right. Yep.
All right, so we have a 10 o'clock bid opening, RFP, Building Commission financial audits. And how many do we have, Mr. Wine?
You've received 2 proposals, and I have about 8 off-gas that did not. So most of them are for,
And that's common.
their workloads are too high. So that's
Or we're too big for our time. So this is for the bid opening for Building Commission financial audits. Actually, that's a small audit though.
It very much is, yes, sir.
I'm sorry for making a wrong statement above you, Mr. Wine.
One.
Tetrick and Bartlett, out of Clarksburg, West Virginia, is bid number 1. And the amount of their bid is $8,400. $8,400.
Very good.
Bid number 2 is Perry and Associates out of Marietta, Ohio. And their bid is $5,000. Wait a second. Yeah, $5,000 for 22, $5,000 for 23, total bid of 10 grand. All right, this one says 6/30 of 22, 4,200, 6/30 of 22, 4,200. Could be a typo.
That can be.
The amount of our bid is for $8,400. The amount for each fiscal year is, so it is a typo. All right, that concludes that bid. The next bid is bid opening for RFP NG 911 Core Services. Give us a little bit of explanation on that one, Mr. Wine.
Gladly, sir. So over the past several years, as 911 has evolved and Berkeley County has moved forward, we've began to explore and kind of position ourselves with both our CPE, which is our 911 phone systems, our CAD, and everything else to take 911 and the cost of 911 into next generation 911. What that means is the delivery of the phone, the delivery of the calls that are now delivered across camera trunks, which are copper lines, just like you may have, but they're more sophisticated on the back end, and delivers that information across an IP network, an internet protocol-based network. Doesn't traverse the internet as a whole. However, the technology in that communication allows for the delivery of texts, videos, and a whole bunch of other, a litany of other items that make 911 more efficient and effective and more nimble.
In modern day.
In modern, that's right. Maryland, our neighboring county, Frederick County, Washington County, Maryland, they have next generation core services. And I believe Frederick County, Virginia, are moving forward with their solution. So there is, to my knowledge, one other county in West Virginia currently subscribed to a next generation core services vendor.
So we're not the first one that's done this.
We're not the first one.
I
Hope
have
to
to
be the
ask a
second
why,
one.
Mr. Wine.
We're a little larger than they are, so not that it wasn't a big hurdle for them, but it's an exciting point for Berkeley County. I'm extremely excited to see that we've got 3 vendors looking to perform this task with us. So one other thing to note, that our backup PSAP, Public Safety Answering Point, is Jefferson County. So inside of this document, the bid document that we wrote, these vendors know that it's paramount for us to be able to communicate with Jefferson County in this environment. I can share with you that the Jefferson County Commission authorized their 911 director to move forward with these services. And in each one of these documents, there was a nice little checkbox that allowed other counties and state agencies to ride our contract if they so chose. So I'm interested to see if these vendors choose to allow that and where the numbers come in.
So is this part of our system, or is this part of what the state siren system should
No,
do?
this has nothing to do with the state's radio network, which is what Siren is called, and quite honestly doesn't have anything to do with the state as a whole. The delivery of 911 as it stands today and has been since the implementation of 911, the state had no involvement. Every county worked together. There's a body, they call themselves the West Virginia 911 Council, and every one of the 911 directors in the state are on that. That body, they are the foremost experts in 911. They have gotten 911 to where it is today. They're all expert in their fields and do a great job. There's some discussion that particular group moving forward have some involvement with 911 as a whole, kind of not necessarily management, but absolutely coordination, possibly. But it's moving at a snail's pace right now. But the grand vision is, as West Virginia moves forward to next generation core services, that they have a single point of contact so that other states, and when vendors reach in, they can kind of get to one place, where right now, if you want to know what Berkeley County does, or you would reach out to that director and ask those questions. So this is for a geek like myself, this is very exciting, and I assure you that the center and Jen and everyone else is very excited to see what happens
So
next.
this is our next step towards next generation then.
That's exactly right. This is the first
This
step
is-
towards next generation.
The first step is not the final step, other than implementing it.
So there are a few known hurdles that come. So if you don't know right now, when you dial 911, it's all relative to what the phone company has, your physical address has, and where you are. Unless you're on a wireless and it's phase 2 and it gives the phone company an XY coordinate and they know where you are. With next generation, it is all based on geographics. It's all based on GIS. So that core data that is inside the infrastructure of every county for GIS is absolutely positively driven and leveraged by this. So the next really big step, Council President, is that data is validated and in line, and then it is all procedure to move forward. The vision is in the next 18 to 24 months that we'll be live.
That's what I was gonna say, how long? So
Should
18,
take
24 months.
It should. And what happens is with these companies and they have these networks, if we have an outage with 911 now, we have two backup paths. You know, we have one comes out of Clarksburg, and I believe the other one is Kaiser, could be Cumberland. I get them messed up. And those are physical. If something messes up, they turn it and it goes over here. With this stuff, it could go to Hawaii or Japan, or it could go to a data center in California, New York, Maine. It doesn't matter. Many of these in their proposals are mandated to define what their network looks like. And I've seen AT&T, Motorola, and even NGA, who has one there. I was involved in presentations, and they all have 2, 3, 4, 6 locations where they route this traffic. So in theory, you could answer a Berkeley County 911 call wherever you could get connected to the network. So with today's technology, with AT&T's FirstNet and wireless connectivity, or a VPN built by someone else, I theoretically could be at home with a handset and a computer and answer a 911 call. It's that simple. And those allow for mobility. So if the sheriff had a disaster and he needed to take the command center, well, he could now take 911 with him. And he could do, so we could geographically structure, let's just use the youth fair. Let's use the airport and the festivities we had for the Berkeley 250, and we know the air show's coming back. We could take 911 to the airport. We could draw a polygon around the boundaries of the airport, and anybody that called 911 from there would deliver that call inside
Right to
his
that.
command center, and they could dispatch right there on the scene in the moment, feeling the activity that's going on. So
It's in seconds.
milliseconds. So the burden of all of these calls coming into the Peace app, and they're getting call after call after call, an airplane crash. We saw it happen. I was there. All of that stuff routed to the center. Well, initially they were just phone calls, and then it was the stress of the calls, and then it was the demand. And you didn't really know when they were structuring up the command staff. He's already structured command staff. He's at an event. He's prepared for a disaster. He's prepared for cloud control. So now when the calls are coming in, his officer in charge, EMS, fire, and law are all right there, and we can say, okay, 911, if they come in from here, deliver them there. And it is some awesome technology, to say the least. And these vendors, all of them, have experience in the field. We've seen pieces and functions of all of it. So it again just takes a growing county in the Eastern Panhandle of West Virginia and conditions us to be able to do what our neighboring states and counties are doing.
For the record, Mr. Wine, I've never considered you as a geek, okay?
Well, I am closet.
You're very smart, though.
So does this also allow, if the system goes down here, to have maybe a system somewhere else? I mean, I know now we have an agreement to transfer to the neighboring county, but would this allow that to actually happen, maybe to a hub center in the center of the state or something?
Very much could.
Yeah.
You could turn it up anywhere. So we could go to neighboring Washington County.
Right.
And set at a console. You know, for us to go west probably makes less sense to go east, but with this technology, we're no longer bound to the confines of the state. They can deliver these calls to anywhere, to include maybe our own Peace app on the other side of the county, backup Peace app. So
Right.
it just opens the doors, Councilor Berkeley.
All right, so this has got some geeky terms here. But
For the record, this was advertised on the website, on
Yeah.
social media.
it was.
This was broadcasted everywhere. Newspapers, websites, social media. We delivered to the vendors we knew and had on the list that were interested. So everybody knew about it, I promise you.
All right, first one's Motorola Solutions Connectivity, Inc., out of Chicago, Illinois. And Mr. Wine, total bid price has $22,094.12 monthly rate and one-time cost of $903,266.73. So the monthly fee you pay once it gets going,
That's correct.
plus an upfront fee to get it started.
That's correct.
So the 22,094.12 would stay there until the rate got modified one day, or
That's right.
adjusted.
That's correct.
Now, it also has some established pricing on some other things. Do I need to read all that?
They're just other features, probably not. We just offered the vendors if they wanted to propose others, so.
Like router and location services, text service and all that stuff.
Right, you can, please read it if it's a bunch, you don't have to.
Y'all's really testing me. All right, folks. The first one's the NGCS, router location and services. It's 0.0339 MRC. I guess that per call maybe equal or something equals per something equals $4,273.89. So it can't be per call. Optional text service is 0.0057 MRC equals $719.10. Non-established pricing, ESINET service, 2 links to PSAP, MRC equals $2,099.69. Ingress service for OSP migration, MRC equals $12,267.62. NGCS support services, MRC equals $3,452.92. System implementation and one-time cost milestone payments total $903,266.73. Interconnectivity service is per pop rate equals 0.012, MRC equals $1,758.16, and optional command central emergency backup per position NRC equals 300, MRC equals 155. That's a lot of geeky terms.
Do you know what any of that means?
I don't. Not a darn thing.
Well, then you're really not gonna know what this one means.
The gist of all of that is they base those fees on our population. So when they sell these services, they structure the cost based on the population of the county itself. So all those are, the multiplier would be, I think they use 125.
Okay, the next one is NGA, Next Generation Advanced. They are from, you probably know this.
California.
Yeah, I think they're California.
California. Okay. Where'd you see that?
Van Nuys, California.
Where?
Orchard Boulevard, Beverly Hills.
Beverly Hills. All right. We'll have to pay them a visit.
You go right ahead.
Well, I might got a niece out there, that's why.
No.
Okay, the total bid price is $792,552.70. A one-time OSP NGCS Starlink ESNet/Starlink provisioning price or cost, 1 year, $72,780.10.
Say it again, second two.
Say it again. I don't know that you need to read all of them once you get the bid price, but go
I
ahead.
want the monthly rate and the total cost, the one time and the monthly.
Is 700 and change.
$792,552.70 is the one.
Didn't you have a monthly cost like the other one?
No, this one has a 1 year cost.
Okay.
Population based 126,069 people of $72,780.10. It's got, then it has, I might take Mr. Delier's information and run with it, but the recommendation. I did the first ones. MRC is 11,996.21 times 12. Number of months, MRC plus NRC equals 216,734.62. Year 2, MRC the same, 11,996.21. Number of months times 12 equals 143,954.52. Year 3, 11,996.21 again, times by 12. Yearly total is 143,954.52. 3, 954.52. Year number 4 being the same, year number 5 being the same. 5-year total, 792,552.70. So it looks like they're making payments over the 5-year period option, right?
Yeah, we asked them for 5-year options.
Network monthly recurring charge is $143,954.52. Network total non-recurring fee is $72,780.10.
Good luck. I don't know where that is at. Good page.
AT&T response, could that be one of them?
Should be.
Yeah, it is AT&T response, yeah.
So A&T business, and good luck on them.
Couldn't find the bid page.
Looks like they're out of Columbia, Maryland.
Should be attachment D.
Attachment what?
D Delta.
D and Delta. Well, that's fine and dandy. If there's a attachment D in the book.
Council President, find the gray sleeve in the back, it's the next page. The last tab under AT&T attachments should be the first page, like the third page. Have a gray sleeve,
Yes, sir.
that should be right behind.
Third page,
What?
third page, 3 months.
I got all kinds of great stuff now.
I'm sorry.
Gray matter,
Yeah, but it's right there, like the third page from the first gray sleeve. I found it.
pricing for additional option services.
There's the rest of them not there, Jim.
Yep. Nope. Total special
See, those geeks even make the whole thing hard to even look through,
Yeah,
don't they?
that's the construction cost. Pricing. I'd read those number, Council President, option D, attachment D.
I think they do it on
Right
purpose.
here?
Yeah. Yeah, so it has the special, that's the construction, and then the recurring, monthly recurring.
Okay.
I read those numbers in the record. That's them.
Just start at the beginning of the book.
All right.
And then you read those other, these are the other numbers you got from the roll.
Okay.
Yeah, so I read that one.
All right.
That one. and then those.
All right. So FirstNet wireless backup package, non-reoccurring charge, NRC is $7,000 is the price. Monthly reoccurring charge is $1,400 for the MRC. Executive web dashboard, non-recurring charge is $6,243. Monthly reoccurring charge, MRC, is $376. On the surface, it appears these are much smaller numbers. Special construction, total special construction cost is $152,306. ECATS numbers, $4,925 non-recurring charge, $532.57 monthly recurring charge, $6,390.90 annually. Text to 911 is $1,562.50 non-recurring charge, $926.25 monthly recurring charge, $11,115 annually. Transitional data management services, GIS, is $10,291.31 non-recurring charge, $882.11 monthly recurring charge, $10,585.32 annually. Price based on a 5-year term.
The next step for us would to form a committee and review those. We've actually, the Jefferson County 911 Director has volunteered, as well have several different other 911 directors around the state. So we're gonna have lots of participation from a statewide effort, so we can share the knowledge, share the process, and hopefully be able to share the price point to save other commissions from having to go through the same process. Please.
Does any of these, with this upgrade, Mr. Wine, would it have any impact on our cybersecurity, the system?
It does. So with regard, it brings a whole nother level of cybersecurity because right now, 911 as a whole doesn't get involved with internet protocol transport. It doesn't live in an open network, even though these aren't 100% open. They're still IP based. So as part of this solution, these vendors will also have an arm or an opportunity of it that will explain how they address cybersecurity once it leaves us and comes back. So it should be all inclusive in the package.
Any other questions? All right, so I believe we was talking about DMV and the sheriff's tax office and all that stuff. I think
I've got two action items. I'll have Jack do a copy count or a count for flags in all of the buildings. And then there was another one you were talking about that we put off on.
We were talking
License
about the
plate.
tags. We were talking about the tags. In the meantime,
License plates and others.
our legal counsel sent an email
Right.
that maybe he could explain a little bit.
Come on up, Anthony. We'd love to see you.
Yeah, I was looking through my emails.
Scoot back a little bit, though. You're getting a little
Yeah, I
too
was going to
close.
pull this back. I
Yes.
knew I'd make you uncomfortable. Just to refresh my recollection on what was going on, it was back in September of 2020. The DMV had been calling around the sheriff's offices to make sure that the tax offices of those departments were giving an opportunity for people to change their registration. The code does require it. At the time, the DMV was saying that there were 6 that did not. Jefferson was one, Berkeley was one. There were some discussions. I know the prior sheriff had discussions with them, and it never was implemented. It can be done by an electronic terminal kiosk. And there's an additional $1 fee that's placed on the registration. 50 cents of that goes to the deputy sheriff's retirement fund. 50 cents goes to the county general fund. So
Which isn't near enough to cover the cost. So it's another one of them things to pass over their responsibilities to the county to pay for it.
the reason that there was that sort of relationship is because then the DMV requires proof of taxes paid prior to getting your registration. Maybe that's going to change here in the near future.
Right, sure.
But
Well, I don't think it's. I mean, I don't know that I don't know the bill or what they're talking about is going to be a total change of no personal property. There's still going to be personal property. I think if anything, it's going to be more confusing moving forward.
could. So
Yeah.
I don't know what the legislature will do. But I can talk to the sheriff who's back here and say, reach out to them. I mean, a kiosk, I don't think would be that burdensome on the county.
I think we all actually offered to put a kiosk at their place for personal property at one time, and they wouldn't allow us to do it. Is that right, Mr. White?
It is.
Yeah, but that was not the current sheriff's department.
No, I'm
Oh, you mean out at the DMV? Yeah.
Right, where they could print out the receipt if they wanted to. But Sheriff, you got anything to add to that? You wanna
I do.
take advantage of you while you're here?
So when approached by this through communication with Charleston, not only did I take the insult to what I felt to be a bullying style tactic, either do this or we're going to do that, I too agreed with Mr. Delegati and others that we've spoken with, Gary, in terms of installing kiosks anyway. That was our goal, to make the office more serviceable to the community and things more efficient. We need to move in that direction. But I completely disagree with Charleston DMV in terms of physically handling these renewals at our front desk. You're talking about a huge undertaking in terms of supplies and storage, and not only the labor involved, but hiring additional personnel. And the way I interpreted the statute was the sole spirit behind it was to assist or at least help those areas without regional DMVs. Martinsburg has a regional DMV, and this was for places like Jefferson County, grants and areas, not our area. We have a regional DMV.
I mean, in some cases, I mean, I could see where this could go to where your tax office would be 2 or 3 times the size that it is with 2 or 3 times the budget.
Yes, sir.
And plus, I'm sure that you just don't open up a DMV and say we're going to do new registrations, new tags without some type of schooling.
Right.
You know, so
That's my opinion, and Julia had already hinted on to the fact of the new tax issue at hand and where that's going, so that would definitely affect things as well. So
yeah. All right, thank you, sir. All right, so I think we got all that cleared up. I want to take a couple seconds, just a split second, to recognize Steve Bowe back in the room. Steve, I think this council has been very aware of the quality of work that you and your people do. And I'd like to take time out to say that the whole county sees a huge change in the way that our grounds are taken care of. And we just want to thank you for the job that you do and the people that's in the community service that helps you. Doing a wonderful job, and thank you for that. We have, and you're doing well. So, thank you. All right.
Mr. Co-Mayor.
Yes, sir.
To follow up with that, I've seen firsthand, he will work harder, as hard or harder than the folks he has with him.
Mm-hmm.
But I've also seen the respect that he shows those folks that come in there for community service. It's obvious that he treats them very fair. I think he holds them accountable, but at the same time, they respect that because he treats them very well.
Yeah.
And there's not been one time that we've reached out to that, either to Mike or to Steve, to try to address an issue that they haven't stepped forward and sent pictures within the hour or the next day. So just not they're doing good work, but they're treating people well, and that's important.
Well, and I want to add to that now because it triggered something else to happen last week. I've got a text message from Mike Lang showing that they picked up 112 bags of trash on Back Creek Valley Road. And the neat thing about that was the Tomahawk Raritan Club seen that was happening, and Faith Kilmer took it upon herself and some of her ladies there to feed them that day. And they said they had a wonderful time. They were very polite. They were very thankful. The participants in community service, and that's always been our goal. Not a hand out, but a hand up on anything that we do. But also, we always say that there's so many people out there. All they need is a little guidance. They need a little love, and maybe a thank you once in a while, and say you're doing a good job. And because some people just never hear that. Come on up front. We can't hardly hear you, Steve. Please.
We're doing that again Wednesday, picking up more Back Creek Valley. They offered to feed us again, so.
Yeah.
They got good stuff, I tell you. I was full. Yeah, they were very appreciative, and I was impressed with we had, I think, 10 people, and we were able to shut down, we put signs out, and we shut down the road just like one lane of traffic through. Get a few people that ride up that get a little impatient, and they might flip us the bird, but we're used to it. But probably 15 to 20 people will put their window down and say, hey, we're glad you're out here. We've been out before, people drop water off to us and things like that, so it's making a difference.
Yeah. One of the troubled areas we have, Sheriff, and I don't know if you can help on this, is the 901 Alden sharp curves right there. And the trash is really bad, but we just can't put people in danger.
Mike's talked about that with getting, I know state of Maryland, they use their inmates from the jail, and they have a state truck that has the bumper,
All right.
whatever that is,
Right.
on those big trucks, but we don't have the Mike's looked into that with the state. And I know that the deputy's been short on staff. It's hard, even some roads just get a deputy out.
Right.
Just to sit with lights flashing, but it's all within manpower.
I know we pass over those curves because of the
Yes.
danger, because there's
That's
just one.
That's what's nice about back here. We have enough straight stretches where I can stand on one side and Eversole, he'll go a ways down and the Hart follows with the big truck, and we're able at least to stop and just let one lane through,
Right,
and that helps.
yeah.
But
Well, y'all doing
do
wonderful
the best we
work.
can, so.
Yeah.
We're doing it again Wednesday.
And all that stuff, part of Tim and the day report center stuff, and he says that he has 82% success rate of people not reoffending on a crime and going back in the jail system. That's unbelievable, right? And even with you all in the community service, it's just they're good people.
Yeah,
Right.
we've all been in their situation growing up. I
Yeah.
had a young girl this morning. She was with her boyfriend drinking. She was underage. And I called and he gave her, I think, 10 hours of community service. But, we've all done stupid things as teenagers and young adults.
None of us has ever been accused of being smart.
Yeah, so it's a good program.
Except Mr. Wine.
It's been good. But it's also, like I said, it's been also successful because you guys have been supportive of us as well. So.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. The most exciting part of our day is next on our agenda is our own Will Lawrence, fiduciary supervisor for the State Council month of October. Mr. Lawrence, start us off.
I'm on pins and needles, I'll tell you.
Thank you, Council.
Who's always in a good mood.
He is.
At least appears to be.
Well, that's right.
I think
Yeah,
it's pretty switch.
I have, good poker. No, I'm kidding.
Poker face.
Today, Council, we have the same 41 names presented in your all's read-ahead, or the same 41 I am proposing for final settlement, for your consideration of final settlement for the month of October 2022. All estates listed in your packet were published in the Journal as prescribed by West Virginia law at least 10 calendar days prior to this date. Furthermore, all interested parties have had actual or legal notice of these estates' proposed settlement status before this council. Lastly, my office has received no notice of objection by any interested party inhibiting these estates from settling here today. Presuming that no interested party here today has an objection, I offer these 41 estates for consideration of final settlement for the month of October.
Now, Will, I just read all those numbers for about 15 minutes. Can you read these names for me, please?
I could. I think the families might have something to say about that. I've gotten calls. Yeah, that's wrong. Johnson is actually Johannesson. I don't know. But yeah, I think all families would rather I didn't.
Yeah. All right. So entertain a motion on the 41 estates for the month of October. I'm sorry.
Second.
All right. We have a motion on the floor and a second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The motion carries. You have no estate hearings to schedule. Is that correct?
That is correct, Council. I do have 2 estate hearings for a little later on.
Right.
I know one, no party is planning on coming in, and it's just a
One's here,
petition.
Will. One guy is here.
One guy is here.
There's a gentleman here.
Okay. So
Oh, yeah. Anyway, if you guys wanted to take
we'll
a
take
break.
a quick break and
Okay.
we'll come right back. And we got 2 fiduciary hearings for
Yeah.
or state hearings. I'm sorry.
What a
Okay.
call.
We'll take a quick break.
Thank you.
No, I'm sorry.
All right, we're back in the session. Mr. Wine has brought it to my attention that AT&T does have I didn't find or didn't read the annual price of 100. You ready, Penny?
Yes, sir.
158,780.25 per population. 60-month term is 793,901.25. That number that I said was a small number just got bigger.
Thank you, sir.
All right,
So all that reading you were doing, you missed something?
only the $800,000 part price tag almost.
Important. I mean, you know.
All right, next on our agenda is Will Lawrence and fiduciary supervisor estate hearing for estate of Mary Fazenbaker.
Yes, counsel. Anyway, so for
Turn
this
his mic up,
estate.
Penny.
Oh, yeah. Is it
It's off.
It's off.
Turn the switch on there.
Still off. Turn the switch off.
Yep.
Here we
On
go.
now.
Penny never turned me on.
Yes, counsel, for the estate of Mary Fazenbaker, on September 7th, 2022, Jack Leon Fazenbaker, surviving spouse of the decedent, presented my office with a copy of a will of his wife seeking to probate same. Mr. Fazenbaker now seeks to leave from this council to probate the copy of the will. It should be noted, counsel, that Mr. Fazenbaker is the will's only beneficiary and would have been the decedent's only heir due to the fact that all children are between the married couple. Having noticed all parties and hearing no objection, barring any present today, I ask this council to consider probating the copy of Mary Fazenbaker's will in solemn form.
Is there anybody that wants to come forward in this hearing? We're good.
Not to my knowledge, counsel. From my understanding, Mr. Fazenbaker has chosen not to appear today.
Okay.
Oh, there it is. Okay. Mr. Sir, would you like to present?
Good morning, sir. You need to state your name for the record and be sworn in, and Penny will swear you in, please.
Jack Leon Fazenbaker.
You swear the testimony you're about to give us the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Thank you.
The will was drawn up in 2005. My wife passed away in 2014. I do not remember receiving an original copy of the will. However, assuming that I did and I've misplaced it, we moved 4 times since that time, or I have moved 4 times since that time, and I just have not been able to locate it. So I request that you accept the copy.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anyone else? All right, entertain a motion on the will.
Motion to accept the will of Mary Fazenbaker in solemn form as presented.
Second.
Have a motion on the floor. We have a second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The motion carries. Let me go ahead and date this too. Or,
Yeah, I can date it. Thank you, sir.
all right, so Will, you have 11:15, which is 20 minutes from now. We're gonna rearrange our agenda for a little bit until 11:15, and we're gonna bring in Tracy Gillums, our grants administrator. Thank you, sir. Fiscal year 22 Brian Jag Award acceptance. Good morning, Tracy and Elizabeth.
Good morning.
Good morning.
The first award acceptance is for fiscal year 2021 Brian Jag Memorial Justice Assistant Grant Program, local formula grant solicitation. It is for 24 months. It is a formula grant in the amount of $12,644, and it will pay for the following: 15 vest carriers at $240 each, equaling $3,738. 5 generated low output voltage emitters at $1,495 each, for a total of $7,406. 5 SD remote control chargers for the emitters at $300 each, equaling $1,500, for a total of $12,644, and there is no match.
Okay. And this is 2021.
Yes,
Okay, okay,
because it's there.
okay. All right. All right, so need a motion to accept the grant of $12,644.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor and a second. Any discussion? And these are for the sheriff to use?
These are for
Court
the
security?
court security.
Okay, just as long as it wasn't for Penny and Tracy.
I don't know what Penny would do with a vest carrier.
Or Alan, yeah. Huh?
What would Penny do with a vest carrier?
She'd shock us all with those, whatever that thing is.
Yeah.
Whatever that thing.
Are,
Yeah.
are those, those gloves?
They're the
Yeah.
gloves, yeah.
Yeah. So now you can't,
That's that new technology where they just can't grab a hold of you and send a little juice through you, huh?
yeah. Never trust anybody with a pair of gloves again.
Well, you know,
right?
that's been out for a long time. I can remember my mother could do that.
That was called a fly zapper back then. All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The motion carries, and you have another discretionary grant for adult drug court.
This is for an award acceptance for BJA fiscal year 22 adult drug court discretionary grant program. It's for adult drug court. It's for 48 months. It continues the current grant, which ended on September 30th. This one picked up on October 1st, and it goes for 4 years. The federal award was $744,704.55. A total required match is 25% at $248,234.85. The total project is $992,939.40. The grant funding will continue to pay for 75% of a salary and fringe for a case manager, a peer coach, a home confinement officer, and a part-time driver. It also pays for 75% of travel, local transportation, and a BJA required training, transportation, lodging, and meals, 75% of supplies, outreach materials, office supplies, general and drug screen testing, and 75% of other costs, which is transitional housing for 35 people's first month's rent in sober living facility, and that's 35 people per year.
Okay, so the 25% match is naturally already in the budget because it's a grant that's gonna back up a grant that we're working off of now. Right? All right, need a motion to accept the BJA fiscal year 2022, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, adult drug court discretionary grant.
So moved.
Motion been made, seconded. Any discussion on that one? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The motion carries. Thank you. All right, looks like we're gonna take another break until 11:15. I think we've done everything that we could, so we're on break. All right, we're back in session, and not only once, but not only twice did we get the presence of Will Lawrenson today, but the third time we have the state hearing of Lori Ann Dom.
That is correct, counsel, and we do have parties wishing to attest, the petitioner by counsels here seeking to attest the facts to this counsel. But just for a little bit of contextual background, on February 1st, 2022, the two co-administrators, Rodney Keith Dom, surviving spouse of the decedent and petitioner, and Laken R. Sanders, the decedent's daughter from a previous relationship and respondent, qualified to each personally represent Ms. Dom's estate, as the pair were the only two reported heirs, and each representing their own interests in this estate. No bond was issued by my office. On March 24th, 2022, the pair timely filed an appraisement of the estate's probate assets, totaling in $217,122.66, chiefly deriving from the decedent's real estate value. The estate was then published in the Journal newspaper on May 4th, 2022, making the claim deadline July 3rd of the same year. During the estate's claim period, more than 8 claims of debt were received by my office and 8 remained unsettled as of this date, approximating $13,000 in debt on record. On August 23rd, 2022, my office received the attached petition in your read ahead, seeking to remove Ms. Sanders as co-personal representative of Ms. Dom's estate. With that, I invite the petitioner by counsel to present their facts and whatever else they wish to present.
Okay, we'll get you all to state your name, and we'll swear you in here in a second.
And will it be okay if I ask him questions to kind of lead his discussion on the facts?
Sure. I'll
Apologize, everybody. I don't move on that.
oh, you're fine, sir.
Take your time.
He could sit down there.
Yeah,
Have a seat, sir.
Yeah. Oh, he's got a seat there. There you go.
I'm just unstable today. Some days are better than others.
yes, sir. If we'll get you to state your name for the records, and Penny will swear you in, okay?
My name is Jamie Hill, and I'm the counsel for petitioner Rodney Dom.
You can pull
You
that
can
up.
pull that down, sir.
Okay.
My name's Rodney Dom, and I'm the petitioner.
All right. And can you raise your right hand, and Penny will swear you in? But
You swear the
I'm
testimony
sorry.
you're about to give us the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
you're representing them.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Okay, so Mr. Dom, you were married to Lori Ann Dom, the decedent that we're talking about today, correct?
That's correct.
And you and Laken, the decedent's daughter, qualified as the co-administrators in early February, and understanding when you did that, that you signed an affidavit and oath, that's Exhibit A in the petition, and that oath says that you would perform the duties of your office to the best of your skill and judgment. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And Laken also signed that same oath. That's correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so as Mr. Lawrenson had stated earlier, you both filed the appraisement, which is the inventory for the estate, in March, and then since then, you've been trying to carry out duties related to your role as co-administrator, correct?
Correct.
What have you been trying to accomplish in that role?
I wanted to get the house cleared out, remove items and the lights, get rid of them. And then I had people lined up who could help me repair the house in ways that I could get it on the market. And I ran into a very little cooperation from stepdaughter on this. And then I can understand her being in mourning and stuff like that. I'm living in this too. I'm surrounded by and she only recently gave me some permission to remove like her mother's clothes from the upstairs unit. Now she came the other couple weeks ago. I said, take what you need to take, but then you gotta give me an okay that I can clear the house out. And it's been crickets.
And you need her permission or cooperation because you have to work together with her as a code administrator, correct?
You're a code administrator.
So you can't distribute her personal property without her cooperation.
Right, without the okay, right?
And you've reached out to her several times since around April, mid-April, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And do you typically get responses from her?
No.
No. Recently you said that she did come and take some of the items that she wanted from the house, correct?
That's correct.
But she did not give you any confirmation either way of whether you could remove the remaining items.
Right.
And
Yes.
there's also a car, correct, that
Yes.
your wife owned that you needed her to sign, the title to, correct?
That's correct.
And she did not do that.
And she did.
And this has just been a very repetitive process with her, correct? Correct.
That is correct.
And there's been no consistent response from her.
No consistent response.
Okay. Is there anything else you would like to tell the commission today, the council today?
I would like very much to get this situation situated so I can go and do what has to be done. Get this house cleared out, one way or another. And just let me move on. I love it. Because I am living here. I'm surrounded by all these memories and stuff.
Okay.
I understand in mourning, and I don't mean to sound like I'm being kind of mean. This has been kind of hard here lately. The longer it goes, the more I look, the more I remember. I love my wife very much.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. McClellan.
Is that right?
Thank you, Mr. Miller.
Thank you.
So just to kind of summarize, we're just asking that the respondent, Lakin Sanders, be removed as a co-administrator and Mr. Dom be named the sole administrator, of Ms. Dom's estate so that he can carry out his fiduciary duty to him and his stepdaughter as beneficiaries and to the creditors of the estate and get this settled and everyone can move forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Dom.
Thank you, counsel, and thank the petitioner. The respondent, as I think I mentioned off the record, I did speak with her, or staff spoke with her personally yesterday. She did also receive a certified letter notifying her of the date and time.
Okay. Just
Date and time of the proceedings here today to no avail. In procedural matters, I propose to this council that the petitioner draft a proposed order so that myself and Mr. Delegati and his staff may take a look at said proposed order. I'll also clarify to council that any order here today does not remove Ms. Sanders as an heir. Her heir's status is still exactly the same. What this would do then is take her off as personal representative, not as a taker under the terms of the estate. She is still an heir and the decedent's daughter, and will take 50% of any probate assets as such.
right.
So with that, I propose this council consider accepting the petitioner's petition to remove Lakin Sanders.
All right. Entertain a motion on the estate of Lori and Dom.
Mr. President, I move we accept the petition from the petitioner to remove Lakin Renee Sanders from the co-executrix? Co-administrator.
All right, we have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second? Second. Any discussion on the motion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The motion carries.
That's all I have, council. Thank you.
All right, well. All right. Teresa, everybody here for you? Okay. Next on our agenda is Teresa McCabe, Vice President of Marketing and Development. Kayla, help me out, Kayla. All right. Breast Cancer Navigator, WVU Medicine Medical, Berkeley Medical Center. Proclamation Breast Cancer Awareness Month. It's all yours. You have a proclamation that you would always read for us.
Yes, sir. Thank you again for allowing us to come, and we thank the commissioners or councils for considering this proclamation as you do for us. So, and thank you for introducing Kayla, so I didn't have to say her last name.
Well, I have trouble with the easiest name.
Could you pronounce that again, please?
It's Mislavic.
Mislavic? Thank you.
So this is a proclamation, West Virginia Breast Cancer Awareness Day and Breast Cancer Awareness Month, October 2022. Whereas in 2022, an estimated 1,470 West Virginia women will be diagnosed with breast cancer and approximately 290 will die from the disease. Whereas breast cancer continues to be a leading cause of cancer-related deaths among West Virginia women. And whereas a woman has about a 1 in 8 or 13% chance of developing breast cancer in her lifetime and a 1 in 39 or 3% chance of dying from the disease. Whereas currently the best method to reduce deaths due to breast cancer is through the early detection of the disease. And whereas women aged 50 and older should have a mammogram at least every year, and women ages 40 to 49 should talk with their healthcare provider about their screening schedule. And whereas mammograms can save lives, women should talk to their healthcare provider about their individual screening schedule. And whereas the Berkeley County Council recognizes that early detection and the important life-saving practices noted can save lives, now therefore be it resolved that the Berkeley County Council does hereby proclaim October 6th, that's today, as West Virginia Breast Cancer Awareness Day and the month of October 2022 as Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Berkeley County Council urges all Berkeley County women to become aware that they are at risk for developing breast cancer and to discuss screening with their health care providers.
Thank you, Teresa. Kayla, you have anything to add?
Not necessarily, just I think it's important for women of the state as a whole to talk to their providers and to go forward with screenings. I see a lot of women that come to us too late, because they didn't get screenings, or they thought, I have time, I can do it later. So just if we can push out the just the word to make screening in your health a priority.
And if they get screened and they catch something early, success rate is great, right?
Yes. Advances in breast cancer have come a very, very long way with any cancer. Usually, the earlier it is caught, the better. My grandmother's the reason I went to nursing school and became a nurse. She was diagnosed with breast cancer in her early 40s.
Mm-hmm.
She, like a lot of West Virginia women, was one of these that her husband was going through health issues and she put it off. She knew something was there and something was wrong, but she had better things to take care of.
Right.
So then the treatments, the surgery, the radiation that she went through was much, much more and much more difficult than what it is now.
Right.
We've come such a long way. So the earlier that this can be detected, the better the outcome for sure.
Mm-hmm.
What advertising do you do to reach the underserved population?
So we do this month the discounted mammograms through the hospital. It's just an out-of-pocket expense at a reduced cost.
How do you get the word out to the people who need to hear it?
Oh, well, we have information out. We have Dana Arnett, who's our community coordinator, health coordinator, and she's out and about in the community, has the flyers. Our physician outreach liaison who visits all of the physician offices in the area. She takes them as well, so they're there. We do articles, press releases in the local media. We do this proclamation.
I was going to say, Jim, they're here.
We'll do 2 radio shows this month.
Well, do you do, like, put flyers in grocery stores and all that kind of thing for people who don't have access to the news media and that sort of thing?
There was recently, just the day before yesterday and yesterday, I was with, it's called the Bonnie's Bus, which is a mobile mammography program through WVU, through the Cancer Institute. They were at the Charlestown Walmart and the Berkeley Senior Center yesterday. So I know there were flyers in Walmart, there were flyers around Charlestown, and then the Senior Center did their part to try to market.
Do you have any idea how many people are out there that's not being served right?
That I do not know. I think this area, with a lot of things in the state, you know, we are fortunately a bigger area, more populated area, have more access to things than a lot of, you know, our southern counterparts. I know the Bonnie's Bus, they do, it is not uncommon for them in southern parts of the state, like War, down that area, Mingo County, they can do up to 200 mammograms a day on the bus in those underserved areas.
That's good.
So for those areas of the state, it is a big plus.
I think a lot of times, not just women, but even men are afraid of what they might find. So they just don't do it, right? And I think I'm happy to say that my wife finally did it after all the years I've been trying
Congratulations.
Yeah.
You've been working on
I
that
know she's
for a
telling
while.
me she did it. I haven't seen any paperwork, but yeah. And then some other friends of mine will just say, one of them will say, well, you know, you don't fix your car until it breaks down. And I said, well, you do go change your oil every 5,000 miles probably. You do make sure your tires have air in them. That's all it is. It's a checkup. All right. And so.
Well, I would say too that for women who can't afford even the $60 fee, Jim, which is what we charge for the discounted mammograms that we do in May and October of every year, the WVU Hospital Disease Foundation, our foundation, has a fund, a cancer comfort fund, and we help fund even that $60 if that's a barrier for someone not being able to get.
Okay. All right, need a motion to approve or adopt the proclamation, I'm sorry.
So moved, Mr. President.
We have a motion on the floor and we have a second. Any discussion on that? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The motion carries. Do you have a couple minutes for me to take the next agenda item for photos? Or if you want, we can take another break.
I have one issue with City Hospital.
Berkeley Medical Center?
Oh, yeah, whatever you want to call it.
Berkeley Medical Center.
My wife is currently a guest of your facility, and I've been out there every day since Monday. Parking is atrocious.
Yeah.
My God.
It's called exercise, Jim. They want you to park away.
I have to park down at the
across the street.
Yeah,
up the hill.
I was going to say, part of the issue right now, Jim, is we're repaving all of our parking areas. So that's caused some issues. But yes, but the good news is, as we repave, we're restriping, so we're having more white spaces, which those are visitor and patient spaces.
I have to park down the Dorothy McCormick Center to get to the hospital.
Yeah, I had to go over there this morning to get my flu shot, and I parked over there too.
Yeah.
But I get my steps.
Yeah, I was going to say, both
I don't
people.
have a step counter.
But
I don't mind to walk, but some people, it's like, you know.
It's on our radar, trust me. But we are reassigning more spaces for patients and visitors. But ultimately, we just need more parking spaces.
Yeah, you need a parking garage.
We do, and that's in our plan for the tower at Berkeley Medical Center, which is a few years away.
And for people like Jim, you may need a campus bus.
Well, actually, I'm glad you brought that up, Jim, because we do have a shuttle, because we do encourage employees to park across the street at MOB3 and so the shuttle is now also.
Oh, really?
Keep your eye out for the shuttle. It's going through the parking lot and picking people up and off.
Never saw it, but wasn't looking for it because we didn't know it was there.
Yeah.
One time I had a meeting. I thought it was across the street, but it was at the main hospital. So I did walk across the street, climbed up the bank, walked across the parking lot.
I think that's kind of dangerous.
Oh,
not for him.
That was a healthy
Not for
walk.
him.
No, not for him.
See, you don't hear me complaining like some people.
No, I meant crossing
pointing it
the
out.
street. Have you seen the way people fly up
Oh,
and down
yeah.
Tennessee?
Well,
see-
he doesn't move that fast anymore,
well.
so, you know.
We don't want to see you in the emergency.
Well, really with us up here, people don't usually avoid us. They usually hit us with their cars. So,
Aim for you.
Yeah.
as they aim for. So even though we would be on a sidewalk or somewhere safe, they would still
You're off, right?
be rough.
They would search you out.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank
We'll
you.
We'll be a couple minutes then. Thank you. All right, next on our agenda is Civil Environmental Consultants, Inc., Marcus Spina. Assistant Project Manager, Berkeley County Project Updates. So it should say projects. Is that right? Okay. Let us know what your team has brought us today.
Yes, sir. So, my name is Mark Spina, Assistant Project Manager. Today with me I have Jim Christie, Coach Shun, and Andrew Gosnell.
Good morning.
We were supposed to have IT here to help them for the presentation.
Well,
Well, IT's here.
I was going to say.
One of them. Andrew was supposed to be here at 12.
We do have printouts for you all, unfortunately.
Just the one?
I think,
Yeah.
I think Mr. Ryan's low on that totem pole, but I think he might be able to help us out.
No, we just emailed Ben and called people about it.
Oh, I thought you were bringing the iPad.
Oh, no.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I guess we're gonna use it. No?
Not
Okay.
this.
I thought they were bringing the iPad. I'm sorry.
Is that it? Mm-hmm.
All right, give us a second one.
Oh, no worries. But I guess just while he's bringing that up, today we'll be discussing the Route 9 Trail Extension Project, and then obviously the Inwood Park Project.
Let me hold you up for just a second. I'm gonna backtrack. I'm gonna take a quick break and let Teresa and Kayla get out of here for photos.
Yep.
Because I know both of those are very busy, and I know this council will have a lot of questions for you. So we'll take a break.
Yep.
Sorry about that.
I just wanted to kind of lead you all along, starting at the north end of the trail there where it'll tie in at the proposed Frog Hollow Trail. So that has been, the city has selected a contractor and construction for that trail will start soon. So we anticipate.
Oh, that's already been selected?
Yes.
That's
Yep.
good.
Yeah.
Is that right? Good.
That's moving forward. As anything right now, very slowly with construction. So going from there, I'm not sure if you all have seen all the designs, so if I'm talking too much about it, just let me know.
We circulated the last meeting we had, we circulated that with all the members of the council.
Okay, so then I'll just.
They've seen I guess that was the engineer's rendition of it, this first?
Yep.
Start of it?
So what I have up here is just an overview. I didn't want to dig into the weeds of every single foot of it, so I'll just skim through it with you all. And if you have any questions, please just let me know, and we'll go from there. So as we come off Frog Hollow Trail, we will match the existing width of pavement that is there. So there's a abandoned road there that we are just going to follow along. So nothing real special there. We cross there where the school lets out on Hack Wilson Way. Now, as we travel down Hack Wilson Way towards State Circle intersection, that's where we'll have a narrowed path. It'll be approximately 8 foot in width. So that was to limit impacts to the neighbors along that street, utilities, things of that nature. So in that case, it will just be, you will have the bike sharrows on both sides of the road. And
On Hack Wilson on that section.
on Hack Wilson, on just that section from the school area to State Circle intersection.
So we thinking about widening the road there?
Yes, so all the improvements, the widths that I will give you, they are from the white line, on the edge line out. So we will be widening it 8 foot.
8 feet, okay.
Yep, improving it with.
Are there any right of ways to be taken?
So most of the right of way is, with the state, so.
DOH.
So that's why we necked it down those areas, because it's a little bit narrower there. There may be grading easement necessities, especially as we get towards about the midpoint between school and State Circle, because it kind of has a drop off of the slope there. But other than that, nothing major, nothing like 10.
Is it gonna take a shift of the actual center line of the road on that section as well? I know that the shoulders are fairly large on that section from the school down to State Circle.
So there's no shift in the alignment of the road itself.
Okay.
We'll just be maintaining that and holding our edge as our center line for our trail, in just hopes of improve. Because it is wide through there with the shoulder, so we're just improving that, giving a more defined edge, making it a little bit safer for walkers.
Okay, so my other quick question on that, are these mailboxes on the house or are they along the road?
So they are along the road, so that will require us to reposition them. But again, with it just being a widening of the road, it won't cause any issue with.
So it won't be any barricade between the road and the trail?
No, that is not a proposal at this time.
Not on this section? probably.
No. Well,
So-
on any of the sections.
Okay, so would the recommendation be to move all the mailboxes to the other side of the road?
So right now, we're just proposing shifting them onto the outside of the shoulder, saying that it would just be essentially allowing the mail truck to pull up to it just like it does right now. And then that way, we don't have to have homeowners crossing the street to get their mail.
Okay, so the mailboxes would be towards the house side of the 8 foot additional shoulder?
That's correct.
Mailman would have to be on
the bike path and the walking path, okay.
Yeah.
It's actually classed, isn't it classed as a bike path?
Yeah, so that he brings up a good point. There are certain classifications that we have to call this scene unless we do acquire right of way and provide a 5 foot separation between the edge of the road and the edge of our trail. So right now is a bike path, and so we're just increasing the width of the shoulder and then providing sharrows in this portion here, and then continuing down, it will be 10 foot wide from the edge of the road, which will allow for the shared use path and get the bikes off of the main line of the road.
And all the road infrastructure projects being done in Frederick County, Virginia right now has an 8 foot minimum
bike
path with the bike and walking path on them.
That is true. Yeah, I've in this project, I've went to these other communities and seen what they're doing right now.
Now, that doesn't mean people can't walk on it. I mean, it's obviously, but it allows that path to be created.
Sure.
And the designation of the bike path should allow them to understand that it is narrower than.
And our idea was to limit the cost of it, the acquisition right away needed, things of that nature, and try our best to best fit something in there and make it safe for users.
Less intrusive on the community than.
Yes, that was kind of our approach, especially in this portion.
No,
All right.
it's a good idea.
Any lighting proposed or just basically not right now?
No, we haven't discussed that with the design progression at this moment.
Okay.
It's something we could consider as we progress if you would like to see that definitely
Is this in the city of Martinsburg and the county of Berkeley?
So it is in the city of Martinsburg for approximately the first 800 feet or so, not very much. And then as you get away from the school there, that's when it becomes in the county area.
That side of the street is city. Yeah, so that's a dividing line.
So this will go across the old bridge.
That's correct.
Okay.
So as we progress down Hack Wilson towards State Circle, we approach State Circle and heard discussion with the DOH. We had to adjust our crossing there so that it was at the intersection because they don't like mid-block crossings. So that's why you see a back-to-back crossing there. As we cross Hack Wilson onto the south side of Hack Wilson, that's when we get to our 10-foot width off of the edge of the road. So that will go into our shared use. We can get sharrows off the road, and then bikers would presumably follow that trail along with Hack Wilson down that way. Now, as we progress down Hack Wilson, we come up to a proposed parking area that we had discussed with council before this. And it's only 11 spots. It was laid out to just minimize disturbance, again, stay within the state right of way, and just provided another point for folks to jump onto the trail.
Is that something that's going to require any stormwater, or are we going to do some impervious blocks, or what we plan on doing there?
So there had not been any specific discussion on what type of surface we wanted to go there. I had pointed out that, like you all have at the trailhead now, where you have a portion of it as impervious material, that is a possibility. I mean, that would be up for you all to let us know if that's something you all want to do. Right now, it would just be, it's such a minor area, you wouldn't really need to consider stormwater except for the ditch line that we're crossing there, which if you look on there, you can kind of see where there's a culvert pipe that would just carry that flow as it normally does.
The parking lot would be deep enough that as far as don't have to back out on the Hack Wilson.
That is correct. So what you can't really see is that there's about 5-foot separation from the trail itself and the parking lot. So I didn't want to just make it where it was open end for cars to back in, but it's your traditional parking lot where you have 24-foot space to back out, turn around, and then get onto the road.
42 feet together.
Yeah. So.
And that section from State Circle down to Prentice Point Parkway there is probably the most used section of that road right there in that section. Obviously going toward the school is well used, but that section there gets a lot of traffic on that side.
Yep. And so knowing that all these intersections were very heavily trafficked, our proposal will be that you will have lighted pedestrian crossing markers so that, you press the button and it starts flashing. It's not a physical barrier, but it's enough to bring attention to those traveling that there's people that cross walks. So as we progress down, we get towards Royal Crest, and we hug that shoulder still, and then we cross over and head towards the end of the trail. So once we cross Royal Crest, we get away from the roadway edges. We pushed it as far north as we could to keep within the DOH right of way, but also stay away from Route 9. It's very heavily trafficked, it's very loud, so we wanted to create some sort of separation from that road as much as possible. As we get there, we come up to a CSX spur. So we are in discussions with CSX right now on ensuring that we have the proper identification of the state right of way in that area, because we have to be within the existing DOH right-of-way for them to allow an at-grade crossing. So I've found the right-of-way plans for Route 9 that were done in the past. There's plenty of width. It's just a matter of the exercise of finding that correct documentation and presenting it to them and working through with them on the details of that crossing. So as we cross there, you may have seen in past renditions of this, we were crossing right in front of Royal Farms. Unfortunately, they were not wanting to work with us on this portion of it. They thought it might be unsafe to have the trail right on the other side of their gasoline canopy, and not have a pedestrian area for them to cross. We agreed with that, so that is why you see it go up the abandoned county route there, the old Grapevine Road, and over to the Grapevine Road, where it will follow along this shoulder edge as it did on Hack Wilson on the Eastern Regional Jail side of the project.
How you crossing Grapevine? Just at grade crossing?
It'll be an at-grade crossing, again, with some pedestrian flashers, things like that.
I like that better anyway.
Yeah,
It gets us
probably
away
would be
from it.
safer.
Right.
Yeah.
Probably the safest option.
Especially with little ones, you know.
Yeah, because if you would cross in front of Royal Farms, which would have been the straightest path, you would have had that awkward intersection with Grapevine right now, because it's very wide right there. So we saw that this was the safest option going forward, but instead of pushing it towards Route 9 into that drainage line.
And then, so this is the path you want to follow. How difficult will it be to get the approvals to follow this path?
So everything, as I said, I've looked into the right-of-way. The right-of-way is very wide through there as well. And I've already spoken with Eastern Regional Jail and their staff, and they were in agreement with all the work that we have proposed, including it running along Grapevine, as long as we have, obviously, crosswalks at their driveways. And then also including the portion of the corner where we are cutting into their property to get keep the trail away from Route 9. So it should be fairly easy.
So
The
you have
shoulders
the
are very.
cooperation of the state of West Virginia to do what we're planning on.
What was that? I'm sorry.
You have the cooperation from the state of West Virginia to do what we're planning.
This was recommended, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, so we've been in discussion with the DOH, with Ken Clohan, Kevin McDonald, the folks over at District 5. They have seen this. They have provided comments. Their comments were more pertaining to the layout of the crossings themselves, of these intersections, and just signage. And then they also had the question of who will be maintaining the trail going forward once it's built. So they are in agreement with the layout. They don't necessarily like that it's directly adjacent to the road, but we've been in discussion with them on that.
All right. And then you'll be working on the design, the profiles of the path itself, how many.
Yep. So the idea is that it will just be an even 2% to continue the cross slope of the road and allow for the proper drainage. There will be design profiles in some areas, such as when you go back towards Royal Crest. There's an area where it gets very steep, closer to Route 9. That portion will have to have a small retaining wall, approximately 5 to 6 feet tall, which would just be, gating and basket type, something not too expensive of an option.
And this will be between the current road and the current drainage. We won't have to move any ditch lines or anything like that.
That is the plan. Yeah, that's how we have the path laid out currently, is to avoid the drainage as much as possible. Now, like I said, back there at the Royal Crest intersection where we have that retaining wall, that's the closest we get to redirecting the flow. But that is the reason for that retaining wall, so we don't push any slope into the state drainage area.
What's the path going to be surfaced with?
What was that? I'm sorry.
Path. What's going to be surfaced with? Asphalt? Or?
The idea is asphalt. Yeah, just essentially a widened shoulder at this point, just through this portion. At the crossings, they will have the same markings that they have at Route 9 now, with the brick inlets and sets and everything like that. The bollards that each one to keep folks off of it. Removable bollard in the middle to allow emergency personnel and maintenance up through there. But that is the idea, to have the similar crossing, similar fill to what you see on the Route 9 trail now, just minus the separation due to the fact that it was designed when the road was being designed.
Okay.
So, as we come across the Eastern Regional Jail, we cut into a property corner slightly there, but again, I've discussed this with them, met them on site, and they are okay with that. It's just a matter now of providing them with easement drawings and getting their official approval. And then we continue on towards the end, where we tie directly into the parking lot area of the Route 9 trail that is currently there.
So about 6,000 feet.
Yep. Just over a mile from South Queen Street to this point.
I think with the Frog Hollow, with the city of Martinsburg and this path, it's going to be pretty neat.
Really nice.
You all are creating a very connected community and county, and this is a very good starting point.
Mm-hmm. Now, if you get Jefferson County to take it to Harper's Ferry or something, that'd be really cool.
Yes.
Where does it actually end in Jefferson County?
Right out this side of Ranson, I believe.
Just before you get to The grocery store down there.
Wise.
Yeah, the Home Depot complex, that whole complex.
That last overpass.
Yeah, but they could easily come across the bridge and go right down old Route 9 through Ransom probably with it.
Curry Road.
Yeah.
Where Jackie slipped my tire and told me to walk home.
But so that's it for the Route 9 trail portion, unless you all have any other questions, comments, suggestions that I could take going forward as we progress the design.
I guess the next thing would be is when do you think bid documents would be ready?
That's what my question was, because in our initial conversation, I would have expected those by now.
Okay. So as soon as we get completed with the coordination with the CSX, that will be our main holdup because they have a very thorough, intensive process for those trail crossings. That will be our main holdup. After that, it's just a matter of putting the details together, which I've already started. So we could expect them, as long as coordination goes well, hopefully by the end of the year.
Marcus, I think if you have any problems, I think we do have somebody that has access to CSX pretty easy, don't we?
Oh, yeah.
I think we got a couple people.
Yeah, a couple
Okay.
people. Well,
There at first I did have some issue, but I finally got connected with the local contact or the main contact for this type of work in this crossing. So I'm in touch with him and have been providing him with the documents. So like now it's just an exercise of going to the courthouse, getting the deed information, make sure that there is in fact right away there, even though the plans that were approved in Soundbar Commission show that.
So when's the city of Martinsburg's trail, when's that projected to be completed, I guess?
Projected to be complete, I'm not too positive on that.
This one.
Over the winter?
Yeah, they're wanting to work on it. It's just, like I said, a matter of construction materials and compounds.
Okay.
Yeah. No, they have it listed as construction starting this winter and completion this winter. So.
Is that right? Well, the paving probably do a speed on in spring though, won't
Yeah, it depends on the winter. You know how that works.
December, maybe.
Depends on the temperatures.
So if there's no more questions about the Route 9 trail, I'll pass it off to Jim and his team, and he'll discuss the Inwood Park and where they are at with the conceptual designs. And
So you're not expecting anything till the end of this year, is what you're saying?
I just say that just because CSX again is the biggest hangup. DOH has been very work friendly with this, so as long as we can get them and keep them up to speed, I think we would be able to have something sooner than that. But I just don't want to say okay next month and then.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, Marcus.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Does everybody have an iPad or something they can see the digital copy?
Yep.
Good.
Yeah.
We have paper copies if you want them. We
Yep.
can leave them if you want those.
This works great because I can blow it
Okay.
up so I can see it.
So my name's Jim Christie. I'm a professional landscape architect. My group of, there's 8 of us, and we do recreation as a destination every day. This is what we do. So we appreciate the opportunity to work with you on this. What we'll do is kind of walk through our process and the concepts we've came up with, and then what we want to do is get feedback from you. You know, what do you like? What do you don't like? What are our next directions on that? So as we work through a process, we have a list from our kickoff meeting of things you'd like to see at the park. So what we start to look at is we take into account. You guys can hear me okay? I don't need that. What we start to look at is traffic flow, pedestrian flow. We look at the neighboring properties and take that into account. We have some residential there. We have a school. We have train tracks. We have an industrial yard. We start to look at how that works within the complex and what we put into that and how that goes. We're also looking at utilities. You have an overhead utility line that goes through it. We look at the undulation and how this drains and where it drains across the street to the school. In addition to that entrance, now we're taking out a home and we have homes to the side. So we're taking all these things into account as we start to look at this bubble diagram. And when you look at the bubble diagram, what we're looking at is taking all the parts and pieces that we had talked about in our original meeting and how do we fit it together and how's that work? Even at this level, we're starting to look at construction costs, drainage, again, that adjacent land use, and then ongoing maintenance and cost. we start to think about that right here at this bubble diagram stage. And as we go through this process, then we start to really put parts and pieces, put real dimensions in, so we can look at it. But I would like, if you could, go to the last page. The last page, and I'm doing this for a reason. I want you to look at, these are the kind of themes and concepts we're looking at. We do it every day, so this is already in our heads, but I want you to see that when we start to talk about these two different concepts, these are the items that we're looking at. So we're looking at a splash pad, we're looking at a playground. When I say playground, we think all-inclusive playground. If you're not familiar with that, that's a playground that able-bodied children and handicapped children can all do the same apparatuses together, whether that's a swing set or a slide. There's funding out there available for it. We're doing a few of them in West Virginia. Currently, there's one in Huntington, one in Hurricane. Bridgeport's going to build one, and Fairmont's going to build one. Those are the ones. They're big, full projects. And like I said, there's a lot of funding opportunity for that. So we're looking at that all-inclusive playground. Some things that we're missing, a dog park. The water feature you see in the upper right, that water feature is really a stormwater related product that also becomes an amenity. We have an amphitheater, and we have sports facilities, a large green space, and then we showed disc golf. The one thing I left out is mountain biking, and I'll get more to that once we get to the concepts and why we have it in there. Okay, if you can go back to, just go back one page, concept 2. We're going to go backwards here. Yep, that one there. So as you look at concept 2, a lot of this kind of factored on that list, but it also was, what we heard was talking about where that field could be, how do we work with the land. So we started to lay this out. And I don't think my pointer works on the screen.
Probably it's because it's a TV.
Yeah. So what I'm going to walk over here and point a little bit, if you guys don't mind. So when we start to look at this entrance, and I'll walk you through it because there's very similar products in each of it. What we want to do is we want to create an entrance here that is friendly to our neighbors, that lines up with the school. So you create a 4-way intersection. We're starting to think about safety and crossing there. So we're looking at a sidewalk that would connect the school system to the park. This 4-way intersection is important. And then we have a boulevarded entrance. So now we're looking at how's that sidewalk go through? How do we buffer those houses on either side to be friendly neighbors? And then what kind of parking arrangement and drive aisles that we have in there? So we have a 1 entrance in, 1 lane in, 2 lanes out, so that when you have events and it unloads all at the same time, which is typical, that we have a right and a left, people getting out of there quickly. We put a parking lot immediately. We like to do that for the safety of the pedestrian. So vehicles get there quickly, they park. From that point forward, it's all pedestrian related. We don't have to worry about the young kids running across drive aisles and parking. We're showing this loop road here. That's actually would be gated off. That loop would allow for a pedestrian loop of a trail, but also for maintenance for other facilities. So it'd be gated. So we're getting twofold out of that. I like all of our things to have multiple purposes. Like we're going to spend money on infrastructure. Let's get the most bang for our buck. So as you look at this, we're showing some stormwater here and here in this area. That's naturally where it flows. So we want to kind of continue that pattern to make it easier on infrastructure costs and maintenance in the future. I'm going to go to the right here. One of the things we had talked about was an amphitheater here and a large field in this location with a little bit of a disc golf. The disc golf gets a buffer. So you got a green space, very passive recreation, easy to install and maintain, and it allows for that buffer between the residential. The amphitheater here, and I'll talk about that a little bit more, it works in relationship to the parking, but it causes other issues. I don't like amphitheaters when they're directly this close to a residential community, even if it's just a community theater, a movie in the park, guy playing a guitar. You know, we're starting to think about those neighbors again, and how do we do that so it's a more friendly environment? We're showing a trail that goes all around the park, and it has multiple loops in there, so that you can have flat ADA spaces and you can have some with undulation. So it hits different user groups.
How
We
long,
do
how
have-
wide will that trail be?
How wide? I always do at least 8 feet.
Okay.
If you can get away with 10, if you want to do bikes in the park, I like 10 feet personally. If you've ever been on an 8-foot trail and you pass somebody, even though there's enough room, it feels uncomfortable.
Okay.
The one good thing about that is if you're trying to slow people down, you bring it to 8 feet, so strike in the middle, and they will slow down. It'll happen every time. People just won't go fast when they're passing somebody because they're worried about hitting them, even though there's plenty of room.
Right.
It's a visual cue. So as we go through here, this middle section, we have pavilions around, so that you can have rental pavilions. It can be for small groups, for the school-age children. It could be for family reunions, all kinds of things. But we want those, and I'm a big fan of having things in your park that you can get some revenue back. So pavilions are one of those. People don't always think about that, but you can get a return, pay for that over time, get that return on investment, and it brings a lot of people to the park. We show a court complex. When I say court, I'm thinking pickleball. Pickleball right now is the biggest thing in courts. We did not include basketball. I think you have plenty of those. So we start to look at this family atmosphere and what we're bringing to it. All these things are chosen for the families. As we look at this central core, again, we have pavilions around. We have a central bathroom facility, central to the concession bathrooms. They could even have a pavilion attached to it. We have a core area here for that reason, so our utilities and our paving are all condensed. Again, we're looking at cost of construction and maintenance. We want to keep that in a core area. As you go through this loop, we start to do a large playground close to the restrooms, close to water, close enough to the parking that parents can get their park and get them to a playground quickly, but separated enough they don't have to worry about going into that parking space.
Is 11 restrooms?
Excuse me?
Is number 11 restroom?
Number 11, yes. Number 11's restrooms. And then we have above that the splash pad. Again, a splash pad, we want that associated with the restroom. We also want, you have to have a building with a splash pad. That's your pump room. It doesn't have to be right on it, but it needs to be adjacent. So we want to make sure we're keeping those same facilities together to keep costs down. On 13, you have the dog park. So we created a space here, and it's a big space that's flexible. That's something to talk about. Not everybody likes dog parks, but there's a lot of communities that do it really well. Again, that brings a lot of people to your park. And then we have this area up here that goes up that mound towards the train tracks. We left this area as a beginner mountain bike course. So it's for kids. I don't know if you're familiar with NICA, National Interscholastic Cycling Association. It's mountain biking for middle school and high school kids.
Not for people like me.
And no, unless you want to coach.
Because I fall off the side.
You want to coach.
And I don't heal too fast.
So it's a huge growing sport in West Virginia. I spent half my career in Colorado. I'm from West Virginia, but I spent half my career out there. It is one of their biggest economic drivers, because what happens is every team across the state goes to one place to race every weekend. So they take their whole family and they stay the whole weekend. They spend a lot of money. Currently, that's the growing sport in Eastern Panhandle. It's kind of centralized right now in that Morgantown down through the I-79 corridor, but it's spreading here and it's going to be big. It gives you an opportunity for beginners. And believe me, I've done all the beginner stuff, and that's about as much as I want to do. But it's a great way to get people into your park and doing something different. Parents can watch their kids. They're just little rollers and things, but it's a fun way for them to get invited into that.
Surrender Park has them, and I'll just stay away from them.
Yeah, but it also goes with your trails. You want people using your trails, and you want young kids to use them. Your rail trail people are me and my family, because my family's a little older. We're the rail trail people.
Mm-hmm.
You want to get the young kids excited about it, which are your next citizens and taxpayers.
Mm-hmm.
Get them going on those little things. So these little cues are important for down the road. So we have all these parts and pieces, you see they're well organized. But when we looked at this, what we looked at was it doesn't work construction-wise. You have to move a ton of earth, and it's a huge dollar amount to get this to work.
I was getting ready to say that.
So what we did was we reorganized and said, okay, we like the idea of how we're doing construction, how we're organizing maintenance costs, utility costs, but it just doesn't work that way. And I don't like how that amphitheater worked in relationship with the residents. So if you go...
Well, plus the vehicle traffic coming into the parking lot.
In the vehicle parking lot area, I stuck with. Okay.
I don't see a big issue with that at all.
No, I think pedestrian vehicular conflict, I designed resorts all over, and this is our biggest issue is vehicular pedestrian conflict.
Well, I was just thinking of the noise of the vehicles pulling in and doors being closed and.
Well, the recreational field that I look at is one of the biggest issues because that whole area is rock, it's up and down, it's a tough area.
Well, in this layout, we're a balanced site. So,
well, and that allows you now. We have another. You see all the way to the bottom right-hand corner of that. That piece of property there is part of the park, and that piece of property, when we purchased that property, we agreed to keep an access from there back to the property behind it. Doesn't necessarily have to be opened, but it needs to be able to be accessed.
Emergency egress.
At some point, we agreed that we would reserve a piece of property so that in the future he could have egress off of that property if needed. Not that we have to create it, but we have to have an area for him to have it.
And I think that works within this plan.
Right, with that plan, I agree.
And so on this plan, we reorganize. Again, we have that same entrance. We start to do our stormwater differently. About halfway across this field, if you're used to grass fields, we're all of the age we did grass fields, right? So all our grass fields pitch in both directions. And in this way, naturally, that is a ridge line that flows this direction and out towards this pond, and that direction and back. So we're working with the land, and we're going to keep the flow the same way it is now, but we're going to start capturing it, using this as a feature up here. And by doing that, we also create this backdrop of a little grass amphitheater a little further away into the site. We still have that concrete loop so we can bring a truck right to it. We can set artists up. We can do a lot of things with this private loop and then get them back to the parking lot. But we also get that stormwater feature and then a creek that goes through it. That creek just connects the two bodies of water, but it also allows us, stormwater-wise, to empty all of these play structures, play areas, trails, parking lot, into this system, into a natural drainage, and create a feature out of it. We just reorganized this whole area. It gives you more room away from housing and allows you to have more trails, picnic areas, and that disc golf, which is a green space area, really. And then we still keep that same format. If you go down to this area, just zoom, keep going down. Keep going a little bit more. We'll take you off the screen a little bit. We put the sidewalk over. You have, at the next intersection, you have multifamily units. So you have a lot of users, a lot of potential users. So we show that sidewalk going over to that next intersection, but we also show a crosswalk going over to the school. The school has a sidewalk that comes out to about 100 feet from the intersection. So there's a small piece that needs to be finished. Luckily, the state did do turning lanes there already. So you do have that thought process already in mind. But we just put a little more effort into that pedestrian connection.
Do we want to get involved in the cross or the sidewalk going down in front of the neighbors on it?
I would just do that as a separate phase. Right. And if we can get, I think there's a lot of money out there for sidewalks for that. We get a grant, we can always do that.
Yeah, there is. There's plenty of funding. There's a lot of different types of funding out there for different parts and pieces. So when we look at playgrounds and parks and trails, we usually are trying to stack at different dollars. So it could be everything from rec trails, and I don't always suggest rec trails because it's a long process. You're looking at a 5-year process.
For what was
For
that?
rec trails, West Virginia DOH rec trails grant.
So I like the idea of a sidewalk if it could access Sylvan Grove, but we have the railroad crossing was removed back in the back to Sylvan Grove. And it would be nice to be able to have some way for Sylvan Grove to access it, but I don't know that that's possible unless.
Is the railroad still even closed to pedestrian crossing?
It's closed, yeah.
Completely.
Yeah. I think
Well,
they
I
took
think
the.
they go around it. They can go
I think
around
people
it.
are
Well, they can-
doing it, I don't think it's a crossing.
Yeah. They can get through there, but yeah, that's the issue.
So overall, I think there's internally, we like that concept one. For constructability, working with the land, working with drainage, keeping your utility costs tight, into that space, and then really creating that nice buffer around the residential area. So what what we need from you is feedback. Have we hit all the parts and pieces you're looking for? Is there something we're missing? Or something you just don't like that we need to take another look at? And
I
then-
didn't look at your lead out, or lead over on the side. Is 18 a Frisbee golf area? Is that what that is?
It is. It's a 9-hole.
Right. So is, and I don't play Frisbee golf, so I don't know. Is Frisbee golf a terrain area or a more flat area? Because you have the 14, which is like a mountain bike training beginner, and that area over where 18 is up and down. I mean, it's the most different elevations on the property is in that area. And so that's why I was thinking, does it make more sense to have the mountain bike area there for the up and down area as opposed to along the tracks where you can do?
We had that discussion. The mountain bike area we want to be for youth and beginners.
Okay.
So we want it to be a little bit flatter.
Okay.
And then the disc golf creates that green space. So it doesn't matter if it's flat or hilly. They're all different all over. This is a 9-hole course, so you're not going to have the traveling tournaments to it, but you will have a lot of different people using it. You have a great population area to draw from here, where a lot of West Virginia doesn't. So you're going to see a little more of that.
So I'd like to integrate that, in my opinion. I'd like to see that area integrated more. There's some really nice, old, established trees in that area. I mean, very large, old trees in that area. And if we could create, and I guess if you're going to use that area for that, map those trees out so that we can use those trees and keep those part of it.
Well, most of the time on Frisbee,
It's pretty in there.
It is. It's a park-like setting down in that area.
most time Frisbee golf is just a small pathway through the woods.
Yeah.
It's
It
not
is.
wide
It can be
open.
just limbed up trees.
Oh, yeah.
So that you keep most of the trees, and then there'll be other areas where you want to open it up because you want a little bit of variety.
Right.
But you'll see on the tournament circuit of that, you'll see really tight windows. We want to open up a little bit that because we're talking families. I'm not going to be any good at it, but I'm going to do it and it'll be fun.
And it is fun.
It is fun.
Yeah, yeah.
And it is for all ages. Everybody can get out and throw it.
Sometimes you throw the Frisbee and you gotta look for it.
Well, when I was young, I actually did a lot of Frisbee throwing when I was
Yeah.
young. So I get that part of it. I'm not young anymore, so I'm probably not going to be out there doing it. But I could see where it's a fun thing to do because I really enjoyed it when I was young.
When the boundary between these houses and the Frisbee, is that gonna have a fence or just gonna be trees?
We were looking at a berm and trees so that everywhere along from the entrance drive, the boulevard entrance, berm, and then berm it all the way down through there. Part of our excavation, what that does is that controls all the runoff, goes to our stormwater features, and we're able to plant that in a way that I can plant a 5-foot tree if I have a berm and it totally covers that space.
The only difficulty I see in that is that's where your utilities are, where you're putting that berm and that whole control area.
And we'll work with that.
Right. That's probably the. But I agree. I think it's a great idea to put a buffer along there to be able, and that was one of the conversations that that we had out there with the neighbors.
Yeah, actually, maybe even on this side of those trees and the berm, very concerned about security for the neighbors. So I don't know if we look at maybe some fencing up on that backside just for their security. You know, those folks most of them have been there most of their lives, and they've been very accustomed to having a field in the back and now we're moving the park in, and they support the park, but they were concerned about their security. So anything that we can do to maximize that for them, I think would be great. I recently had an opportunity to speak to another group in that area, and one of the things that one of the gentlemen asked about, because it did not really reach his age group of the things that I was describing that we were going to have, other than a walking path, was a competitive horseshoe pit. I don't know how large that is. I know that as far as width, I don't know what that requires.
Yeah, there's plenty of room. If you wanted to do that, bocce ball and cornhole, you could do a whole area for that. And it depends on the park and the people and the user groups. Like if you go to Shinston, West Virginia, it's very much an Italian community. They're bocce ball and it's covered, so they can use it all the time. So it's the same thing. I think you're looking at basically the same dimensions for bocce, cornhole, and horseshoe. And there's plenty of room. And that can be worked into like the court area where you have pickleball, so it becomes an active space.
So you have people asking for horseshoe pits? I haven't heard anybody talk about horseshoe pits for years.
Yeah.
You
They're still
are
pitching
dated.
Competitive. I know older people.
Well, in the old days, you had corrals and they had clay pits everywhere, all lit up.
I think it's a good idea. I really do. I think you've got to get something out here other than just a path for the older people to walk on. If you're going to get them involved in it, you create something for them to do. And if it's horseshoe, it's horseshoe.
Most people can't throw a horseshoe 40 feet anymore.
There's other opportunities for that age group as well. Like the city of Vienna has a outdoor workout facility. You know how we used to have a trail that had workout pieces along that? Well, they've kind of gone away from that as an industry. And they do a little playground space, a little concrete space. So it's all clean, level, ADA accessible, and actually looks like playground equipment, but it's all workout facility. And their signage states nobody under 18. And it's really kind of the local older population using it. So it's something that if we want to look at different demographics besides, because we kind of geared it towards a family, bringing kids and grandparents and everybody coming together. But if there's something we're missing like that, that's where we start to address that when we really start pushing into like a 30% engineering set.
Do they make I think cornhole is something that's very popular anymore. Do they make a cornhole board that would be aluminum that would actually perform the same way as a wooden boards that would be permanent, that all they'd have to do is bring their set of bags and they're ready to go?
They do them both in a polished concrete and a stainless.
Okay.
And that's typically like in a state park, that's what we're using, the concrete ones more than most.
Okay.
And then it has a concrete around the base, and when it falls through around it, you've got concrete as opposed to grass.
They don't act
that's
the
a
same.
maintenance thing.
They don't act the same on concrete as they do on the stainless, though.
They act well. It's polished. It's smooth,
I get it.
but it's still, and it's not. No, it's not competitive version of the wood. So the parks that do a competition, they actually just have the concrete pads out, and they bring the wooden ones out for those events.
Right.
And that's easy enough. You could do that at that middle area where you have a concession. You could have 8 boards in there and bring them out. Because you're going to end up having enough people here where you're going to have a staffer at some point. And they can bring that out for certain times of the day or certain days of the week and bring them back in at a certain time.
So what number is the concession stand?
It's number 11, I think. Yeah, 11.
Right there in the
Now,
bathroom.
and there may be, we want to talk about the users and is that a big enough, a
big enough concession stand and restroom to supply everything, or do we add one more somewhere else?
I think I mean, I get the bathroom, you may have to have another place for a bathroom at some point, but I think if you want to look at probably the best thing to do would be to put a station or two that have a hookup for food truck.
That's,
To be able to have something like that.
I'm glad you said that, right? So see how this trail goes around the parking lot here?
Right.
That's the area we kind of start to see that, on that area, and in that loop trail. When you have a festival and a concert and all these things going on, the loop around the lake and that section on the parking where they can pull right up and they're set up so they're on the trail, but they have full hookup so they can do that during an event.
Right, and I think that's a good idea to put in there. I don't know, do you need a big concession area? I think a small concession area for some basics, obviously waters and, some drinks, that type of thing, and some snacks, but I don't think I think in today's world with food trucks and what happens with all those, I think that you set it up so that you have an accessibility.
Especially prepackaged, and what we see in these playgrounds is on the weekends when they have events going, or maybe there's a U12 soccer event, something going on, that we actually have the booster teams or the parents run that, and then they get a piece of that goes back into their program, and the rest of it comes back to the park.
Right. So the concession stand, is it more like external vending machines, or is it going to be something that need to be staffed?
I wouldn't. I would actually have a space, and it won't be big. I think it's 10 by 20 or something along that nature, and it doesn't have. This is not a full kitchen thing.
Right.
You're talking prepackaged food, hot dogs, hamburgers, maybe hamburgers.
Same thing they have at the
is out.
ballpark across the street.
Yeah, packaged chips, all of those things.
Now, the soccer field, do you have any opposition to saying multi-purpose field on
We
that?
call it a multi-purpose.
Okay, because that's what I like to see.
This question's from, I guess, Eddie. Is there any possibility of acquiring more property out there, or is this pretty much it?
I think that's pretty much it.
Okay. So there's no room for
There's
expansion of anything?
There's a large parcel on the left-hand side of that's a large parcel home. Who knows what'll ever happen in the future to that parcel. But other than that, you're bound by the railroad tracks and and the mobile home park and on the north side of it.
And you have that industrial area in the back, and you see how we use that as part of the design too.
Jim, where did you have the splash pad on this one?
The splash pad,
15?
It's that number
9. 9's the splash
number
pad,
9.
right next to the parking lot.
Okay. And I tell you what, I'm very impressed with your presentation, and I think we're very fortunate to have your expertise and being able to have done multiple parks in the past at different places to bring different thoughts. The only other thing that I would like to be able to make sure that in the future, that should a family or organization wish to donate a pavilion or something of that nature, that there's space around for future pavilion sites.
Absolutely. There's plenty. We just put some in key areas, but there's plenty of room for that. If you're looking for public, if you have people who want to do donors, when you do a big park, typically you have people stepping forward and say, I want to help. We're doing that with 2 different parks right now where they created a 501c3 or a foundation for them, and they're taking donations. And what we're doing is we're talking to the individual owners on, what do you want to do? What do you want your money to go towards? Do you want a park bench? Do you want a play apparatus? Do you want a pavilion? What is it? Some of them are just saying, we just want to give you money and put it towards it. And we've gone away, in 15 years ago, 20 years ago, we used to do all the brick pavers and everybody's names. That's kind of gone by the wayside. There's very few places we do that. In fact, I think the last place I did that in West Virginia was in Parsons, and they did it and it worked. They still like that. They do cakewalks. I've never even heard of a cakewalk, but we did a pattern for a cakewalk where they sell cakes and do fundraisers, and that's the last.
I see those advertised all the time, but I don't understand what it is neither.
I went to it and didn't really understand. They kind of, it's a fundraiser. Everybody makes a cake. You put it around, and you go around, and when the music stops, you get a cake. But you're paying for it.
Kind of like musical chairs.
I didn't eat the
Yeah,
cake.
it's kind of the same thing, only you don't sit on the cake.
Okay. Or somebody push you off the chair.
So I think what we want you to do is take this back, think about it real hard. We're good with constructive criticism. We do it to each other all day long, every day. And there's more than one way to design a playground. I think what we've done is taken all the parts and pieces you've asked us to look at and organized them well. And I think that's the way to go for construction. Whether we tweak it and stuff's different, and we will during engineering, during that 30% set, we might find additional opportunities, and we may tell you we need to move something because of utilities. Like we have that overhead utility, it's on this map. We designed it in a way that if we need to keep this overhead utility on that dashed line, we can do it.
Well,
I'm going to tell you, I prefer it to be buried through that section because it's going to look ugly across the park. But
And
if we
maybe
can't
able
afford
to
it,
do, maybe able to figure that into it, to bury it. I mean, the problem is that is on the highest piece of ground right there. That is on solid rock going across there almost. So it's going to cost some money to bury that line across there.
But we put a sidewalk or a walking path there that we're going to have to dig out and put up infrastructure underneath it anyway.
No, and
right? So there's opportunity.
Yeah, and I wouldn't want kids out there flying kites on that field, you know, with a power line going through there.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, we reached out to the community to say, hey, what do you want to see here? And then we plugged some of our other small ideas into it, and that's what you've built right here. Correct. What are we not seeing that you all would suggest being in this park?
I think we've pretty much hit that. This is with my experience of what's going on, what's trending. That's what I would do. Like I said, I didn't include basketball. We didn't include baseball. I think you have those elsewhere. This is more of a get-together, family-friendly. We have a green space. It's functional. So if you need that Pee Wee football or U12 and under soccer, this is a great opportunity for that. You know, that's different programming. So it depends on who you're going to hire. Those are next questions, though, is how many people it's going to take to staff this for maintenance. And we look at that, too, is how are you going to maintain it? Who's going to come in there? How are you going to handle lights? When are you going to close it off? Are we going to gate that so everybody gets kicked out at a certain time? So we're thinking about the community. Those are all future conversations. As far as things in the park, I think I like where it is.
Yeah, I did too. I really did.
I don't like to overdo parks. A lot of people are like, we need one more thing. You don't have to hit everything on one park. You create that destination, it has a sense and a feel and a place. And if you need more baseball fields or you know, BMX track, that could be at a different place. It's a different user group.
Well, that was one of my questions is, are we putting too much into this? I mean, are we cramming too much into 5-gallon bucket? Do you think all this can fit in?
I think when you're going to go out there and you're going to see there's a lot of space.
Oh, I know. I've been out
and when we start putting detail to it, we draw things big because we know when we start doing detailed design, we're going to tighten it up. And especially around that field, you see the field. That field's drawn at a competition level soccer field, okay? Because it's bigger than a football field,
right. And
you see how much space is around it. That's a lot of green space. And, you know, we're showing that in colors that so it jumps out and you can see it, but that might be, that green around the field might be all wooded. I don't know. That's something we work through. And we specifically will keep certain trees and certain groupings of trees, but in other areas, we're going to open it up because we want safety. We want to be able to visualize and see a distance.
Most of that area you have that in is open space where that spot is at. Most of that is open space.
So
or small shrubs.
I know this is early. How many parking spaces are you?
Do you remember how many parking spaces?
Concept 1 has 120. Concept 2 has 160.
And when we look at parking, that's always like the big question, right? How much do you want to spend on parking? I look at the situation of the school and this park that if we have a big event, if we have an amphitheater and the amphitheater becomes a successful thing and you want to grow that, we have overflow parking available across the street. We have a partnership with them. I wouldn't put 200 parking spaces there for that 1 or 2 days a year you need it. I would kind of do what's necessary and then have that overflow situation.
Yeah, the community may want to have a festival with, all kinds of stuff on there. And yeah, you'd have to go across the street, something.
Yeah.
Just like they're probably doing on the parade days.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I really like the way you laid it out for a lot of reasons. Probably the biggest reason I like it is we've talked about, obviously we have to phase this in, and the things that we talked about in that phase are all in the core of this. You have the parking lot, the bathroom, the splash park, the amphitheater, and the field. All that's right in the core. And so the other things, of course, and the stormwater, which has to be done, but all the other things are going to go around that. So it allows you to build the core out, have that started, as well as your trails around the outside edge, and then come in later and build the others.
What's number 8?
Number 8? It's just a fountain. We're showing a water fountain. That's part of that stormwater system. By being a shallow system in a warm area, you're going to get algae. So in those areas, you either have micro bubblers or you have a fountain to push that water and rotate it. Once we get into engineering, we can tell, do we want to circulate the lower pond to the upper pond and keep water flowing? But we'll figure that out later.
And I guess you have sidewalks on either side of your entrance, right?
We only have it on one side.
Or one side.
So what we're going to do is control it. If on there, it's on the left-hand side. That lines up with the sidewalk at the school. We want to control where the pedestrian is.
So they're not crossing over.
Vehicles and pedestrians, we want to control them, whether they know that or not. We're going to design it so that they go in a certain space.
Sounds like a marriage.
Hey,
Easy now.
Yeah, I've been the same woman for 33 years, so I know when to listen.
We won't discuss that, will we, Dan?
You've already said that's the second thing you referenced your wife today. You better watch yourself.
And she does listen to us. I'm like Eddie. I think, and Dan, I think I like it. I think it's time possibly to take it to the rec board.
It's a good start.
Get them to see what they think about it. It sounds like, I have to say, I'm very impressed with y'all's work. Seems like you think about a lot of things, and so you're the same as us up here. As you do something like this, you put a lot of thought in it. You're always thinking about how to save costs by keeping utilities in one area, keep the flow of the water going the same way as it always has. And typically, as you're doing that, you're building a price in your head. Rough guess, how many millions?
I don't guess on that. That would be the next step for us, is to put numbers to this.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to make sure we're on the right page, get it. I've learned over the years, I don't guess at those numbers. People remember the guess.
I understand. I said the same thing.
And I like to go through, especially with this year and the pricing that's happened this year. It's insane. So what we'll do is we'll put together a number to the best we can for the pricing right now. And even in the last 2 months, it's been ridiculous. So it hasn't really changed. So we've done a number of parks this year, a lot of earthwork projects, utility projects. So we have some pretty good numbers, recent numbers we can follow.
Okay. All right.
So we're kind of projecting that the water features at 7 and the stream to 7 would be full-time water or just as needed for rain?
Full time with available capacity. For the whole park. Yeah. It doesn't have to be. We like that as a feature. I think it creates.
I do too.
There's a reason to do it.
I can think of multiple uses.
Mm-hmm.
Just with that in competitions,
And there's details of things like the splash pad. So I did one in Fairmont for Marion County. And what we did there was something that the splash pad people had never done. We said, well, we want this to be a park that you can come to in the wintertime too. So we made, instead of having standing water areas and raised things, we did everything flat, 2% cross slope. and you can take all the pieces off of it for the winter, when you winterize and blow out the system. And we put down the fake ice rink. And so they have ice skating in the wintertime, even if we have those 60-degree days, they have ice skating then at that splash pad. So they still have people going to the park and the amphitheater in the winter months.
Yeah, it's good.
So there's all kinds of little things you think about during design, and those are discussions we'll have is, what do you want to do? And your park board too, because they're going to be the ones that ultimately will have to program and maintain it.
And come back to us to fund it.
Yes.
See, now you said that, now we're gonna have those comments where, they want the ice skating ring in the winter. Right, Eddie?
One of the questions I was asking, I believe it means, anybody bicycling in on a bike and stuff like that, well, I guess we'll have some bike racks for them to park on and stuff like that, or an area for them to park the bikes, right?
Absolutely. The street furniture, so the bikes will be important. This kind of trail system, I look at the strollers, the tricycles, on up. And it's an enclosed system, so you can feel pretty safe about it, but you're gonna have areas you want to dedicate to parking. And even a couple of bicycle tool racks. We've been doing those at all the state parks now.
I see that,
And they go over really well. The kids don't always know how to use them, but they like to tinker with them and they'll play around with their, maybe take their tire off.
Mhm.
Back on. But, those are great things to have.
Right. All right. Anybody else?
Well, thank you for
Thank
having
you.
us and letting us present to you
Yeah.
today. Appreciate it.
Good thing I took another break for photos, right?
And I do, if you guys want these paper versions.
Sure, you could leave it. I mean,
Yeah, we have them. We'll give you a stack of them.
Eddie could probably use them going, don't you think, Eddie, to present to the Parks Rep?
Yeah, it would help.
Okay, thanks once again for the update.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Any items from the public? And I don't think there's a need for anything, or yes?
That one thing I talked about, litigation matters.
Oh, yeah. Okay. All right, so we need to go into
Thank you.
executive session for
Litigation.
legal.
First time we can go into executive session.
Here, you have something too.
No, I'm working on that one. All right, we have a motion, second? Second, all in favor? All right, we're in
We didn't get no timeline on the last one.
Do what? All right, we're out of the executive session. There is action to be taken.
You ready for a motion now?
Yes, sir, please.
All right, I'd like to make a motion to accept the release and allow council president to sign it with ILA Properties, Inc.
Second.
All right. All right, and the release pertains to damage that was done from an accident that damaged stuff of the county's property at 169,589.45.
Okay.
All right.
I'll agree with that.
Okay. You agree with the second. All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The motion carries. All right, Mr. Barnard, if you do the honors.
Well, I thank you, Mr. President, and I'd like to move to recess.
We are recessed.